The only thing money will do, it'll allow you either to dig a deeper hole that you're already in. 86.6% of the people on the planet are unhappy. They've locked out. They're not looking for anything in life. Love doesn't work. Religion doesn't work. Nothing works other than if you have self-esteem as a human being. Lower the IQ, the more money they make. You could be a lot more successful if you had 30 points less IQ. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. You overanalyze and trained to spreadsheet things to death. Just because you hit the send button, that's not taking action. Taking $800, turned it into 450 million. That's me. They look at my skill sets, my gift to gab, my presentation skills, and then they turn themselves off by saying, we're not Dan Peña, we're not gonna be able to do that. Young kids don't want to make the same mistakes as their parents. How many of you would want your kids to be like you? One guy said, well, parts of me. I don't mean parts of you, okay? Next, how many of you would want your kids to be like your grandparents? The same guy. Parts of my dad, parts of, meaning no. Nobody. Subsequent to the Second World War, my dad's generation, we've got pretty shitty role models. My dad, when he retired his first career as a 28-year-old veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, had 702 days statutory leave he hadn't taken in 28 years. Now, if you do the maths, as they say in this country, that means he never took a day off in 28 years. There was a 26-year period in my life, I worked every single day, including the day I got married. 26 years. But
we're not teaching that anymore.
No, we're not. We're not
teaching people about holidays and
correct
time off and four-day work weeks.
And they've got another thing. It's not some kind of quick time or something where they don't even keep track of your hours.
Oh.
They only keep track of you getting the job done. But the bars are so low. I could get the job done in a weekend. I told you the story. Our youngest son, when he was in graduate school, he sent me over 4 case studies. And on a Thursday, he said, Dad, what do you think of these? And I said, when do you need the information by? He says, Sunday. I spent 8 hours, 4 case studies. I sent it back to him. He thought that I had my students, my mentees, do the work. And when he turned it in, this is 1 quarter's work for a team of 4 graduate students. 1 team. I did it in 8 hours, the work. What the f you do all year? I asked him. He says, well, he said, we study there's nothing to study. These are the facts. I mean, Jesus Christ. You run a couple of numbers and kids today have a low benchmark. I think the reason the big schools keep it a 2-year MBA is because they can charge fees for 2 years. During the hardcore, we covered between 32 and 38 cases, just like Harvard, just like Columbia, just like NYU. We do it in 8.5 days. 8.5 days. The greatest gift you can give to them is make them accountable for their life in all aspects. If you're an alpha male, fine. 98% of the high performance people on the planet are not alpha male. They're beta males, okay? Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, all have one thing in common. They're introverts, they're not alpha males. If you want to be a role model, kids don't do what you tell them to do, they do what they see you do. And my grandson, my first grandson that we went to visit here a couple weeks ago, when he got out of the hospital, and I posted it on social media, he's wearing t-shirts, future legend. Every single thing that is being done for him is laying the groundwork for him to have high expectations of himself, be a high performer. I know why the Kennedys and the Rockefellers and those people send their kids to those schools, because there's a higher probability that if they were raised in a wealth creation, high performance environment, that it's going to rub off. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Being a high performance professional is doing the greatest job when you don't feel like it. The only thing money will do, it'll allow you either to dig a deeper hole that you're already in, or somehow catapult you out of the hole. Part of the reason that they're in a hole is, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Your family, when you're raised, the first 7 or 8 years of life is when self-esteem is built. Who you're around the first 7 or 8 years, mom, maybe a dad if he's not working or not traveling, older sibling, a grandparent, right?
Yeah.
They know nothing about training high-performance people. Now, if you're Steffi Graf and Andrew Agassi, and they're your parents, and there's a high probability you can be a world-class athlete. Most of us are attracted to people that are like us because we fit in. We don't want to be a sore thumb, either on the upside or the downside. I've seen kids, looking back in hindsight, that were high performance, but wanted to hang out like with the hoods. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And, most people don't want that. You can always come up with a reason. And then once you're successful, whoever said it's hard to get successful, but it's harder to stay successful, was some sort of genius. It's easy to slip back into, I'm not going to push myself. That's why guys like Gates, the late Steve Jobs, Elon, they don't hang. Eagles fly alone. When it's hard for the birds that are flying at 10,000 feet to blow smoke up your when you're at 25,000 feet. But it's not easy. It just isn't. Just because you hit the send button or enter button on the computer, that's not taking action. So you overanalyze, you study things, you think of all the possible permutations, all the possibilities of what can go wrong. And if you do that enough, you'll come up with enough reasons not to do it at all. Because taking action isn't doing a spreadsheet. Taking action isn't listening to a podcast. Taking action is not reading a book, okay? Taking action is actually taking action. If you're an engineer, an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, a scientist, PhD, etc., you have learned to study and to take action in a certain fact pattern. You only have 2 times to make a first impression. One's how you look. 2, what comes out of your mouth, okay? A lot of guys and gals look the part, but as soon as they open their mouth, they are engaging in self-sabotaging activity. So I'll see a guy or a gal, and you'll walk up and we'll shake hands. I can see death in their eyes. I can smell fear. In 1986, the female hand pressure per handshake was 98 pounds per square inch. 2016, it's 108. Men, 1986, 114. Men today, 96. Men aren't the guys from the 14 and 1500s that sailed the oceans blue to find various parts of the world. Men aren't what they used to be. I'll say if love worked, there would be no personal development. Love doesn't got the job done, okay? Love doesn't work. Religion doesn't work. Nothing works other than if you have self-esteem as a human being. You're a better person, you're a better father, you're a better husband, better wife, whatever the hell, you're a better citizen. You take life more serious if you have self-esteem, if you have self-worth. Gallup poll did in 2016-17 a study. 86.6% of the people on the planet, of the 7.6 or 7 billion, are unhappy. They've locked out. They're not looking for anything in life. Because most people are living hand to mouth. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. And the alternatives aren't being taught. When I was at these various universities I've had the privilege of speaking at, one of the first questions I ask is, how many classes have you had in buying a business? How many classes have you had in selling a business? No hands go up. How many classes have you had? This is the business schools.
Right.
How many classes have you had in leadership? None. Well, then how in what are they teaching you here? The computer scientist, you talk about analyzing it. I mean, you know, he's waiting for on the 29th of February, all the moon and everything to be juxtaposed, and so he doesn't pull the trigger. Where a carpenter, he just jumped on it like like stink on shit, and just, you know, was persevering, just kept driving, and until the deal got done. There are advantages to the skill sets of the engineer. It's no accident that 40% of all the billionaires are engineers. That's not an accident, okay? Once that penny drops or the shoe drops, whatever the saying you want to use, the world is their oyster.
Yeah.
They're skeptics. Engineers are skeptics. You know, they want to put a goddamn rocket ship underground. A million things can go wrong with that thing, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden they're optimistic. And not everybody knows how to use forks and knives. I'll just leave it at that.